Hey everybody, this is Lance Meister from Gray Fox Games. I wanted to have a quick little chat with you about a topic that I just wanted to talk about. Now, I kind of am all over the place with what I discuss in these videos, and if there are people out there watching them, as unless those stats are incorrect. So if there is something you'd like to hear me talk about in a video that I could do in the future, please post those in the comments, and I'd be happy to dive into whatever topic that you may have for me. But today I wanted to talk about something. I want to talk about one of my favorite designers. And that might seem like a weird conversation, but this kind of sprung into my head for a lot of different reasons, and I'll get to that in a second. But one of my favorite designers of all time is Chad Jensen. Chad Jensen, who regrettably passed away far too young back in 2019, designed several games. And my first exposure to him was the game Combat Commander, a war game. I was going over to a board game afternoon meetup type thing. I got there, the person hosting it, like there was supposed to be 4 or 5 of us. Everybody else canceled. So it ended up just being me and him. And he was a war gamer, and I was kind of a war gamer. I had played war games in my, back in high school, but this was, 10, 12 years later. And he dug out Combat Commander and told me that I'd really enjoy it. And sure enough, I did. Combat Commander was a very tight, very gripping story, narrative, card-driven war game that had historical references and definitely made me feel like I was recreating famous conflicts in World War II in Europe. But it maybe didn't have the gears and the grind that a lot of the other war games that I had attempted to play before had. And I found myself to really enjoy that game, but I kind of just forgot about it. There were a couple of times when I thought about picking up my own copy, but I was just like, if I want to go play, I'll just go over to my buddy's house and I'll play his copy. And because he knew the game really well, and he was picking up expansions for it, and definitely had a large collection. Now, fast forward a couple of years past that instance, there was this buzz about this game called Dominant Species. And I didn't know too much about it. I was definitely getting into my heavy game phase, something that I've never really left. I enjoy heavier, more complex games. I had heard some buzz about it, and when it came out, I picked it up. I invited a bunch of my friends over, and of course we did the incredibly wrong thing. We played a 6-player game from the get-go, and it was fantastic. I was just blown away by the processes of the game and how adversarial it was. I mean, and by adversarial, I mean this is a game that, because it is a planning game about an ice age coming, and each person representing a different animal species trying to end up on top, being dominant species. It is a game where you got points, you succeeded by pushing other people down, and that can be a type of game that a lot of people don't like. I mean, admittedly, if we're gonna put our cards on the table, there is kind of a feeling when you get beaten down a little bit, but we enjoyed it a great deal, and maybe that was just because it's that type of game that myself and my friends enjoy. But I was dazzled by it. And one of the things that really, really shined about that game was the rule book. Now, here is a game that if you go on Board Game Geek, and mind you, it's still like in the top 100 games of all time, or very close to it. And this is a game that came out like 15 years ago. This was a game that, according to Board Game Geek, has a weight of over 4, meaning it's dense, but it never feels like it's dense. And you would expect a game like that to have some giant 60-page rule book full of all kinds of just mechanisms and gears and what have you. But I think it's like under 20 pages. But it explains the game completely, thoroughly, and straightforward. And it is absolutely a game that has a lot of grit to it and a lot of friction. But once you've played it and you get that bicycle rolling, like the whole thing when you start riding a bicycle, once you start going, it's easy to keep pedaling and it's easy to keep going. And it was one of the things that just blew me away. I mean, to this day, I think it is one of the greatest rule books ever written, especially considering the source material. Now, there's tons of other rule books that are really great too, but that one, perfect. And then after that, I heard about a game called Urban Sprawl. Now, here is a situation where it definitely, I was an outlier on this one. I think Urban Sprawl is a precious gem of a game, and I absolutely adore it. It is a game where each person is a city planner, trying to make the best possible city they can, but it is a super chaotic game. And especially if you're playing a 4-player game, if you are like waiting for your turn to come around, like you just took your turn and the next person's going, you can't plan for your turn. You can't, because there's so many different gears and levers that are going to be pushed and pulled. By the time it gets back to your turn, the game board is going to be completely different, and you're going to have a fresh new set of what do I do nows going on in your brain. You might be able to do a little planning for the person that's directly to your right, the person taking their turn right before you. But even then, it is about a 75% chance whatever that person does is going to affect what you want to do in some way that you're going to have to alter your plans. And I think that's what really appealed to me. The game hit me in a stage where I was getting tired of people like going and figuring out these long-winded strategies of trying to determine what exactly they need to do and what exactly the process, and they start that strategy from the get-go where they begin playing and they're like, this is what I do, and then I take this step, 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 and everybody is just doing this efficiency engine trying to get to the end point in the best way possible. And that just didn't appeal to me. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's just not my cup of tea. Now, there's been other games he's published as well. Dominant Species, the card game, was okay. Welcome to Centerville, cute and fun. But then, and I believe this was, sadly, after he passed away, Dominant Species Marine came out. And I thought this was one of those things where I expected it to be more well regarded, I guess, or well received when it did come out, because Dominant Species Marine reduced the number of players from 6 to 4, and whereas in Dominant Species, when you would do your planning stages, and by that I mean you would place your action pawns on the different locations on the board, and you didn't get your action immediately. So it wasn't worker placement, so to speak. You would place the things that you want to do, and then the actions would resolve themselves, as well as everybody else's actions, as you went through the different processes. But in Dominant Species Marine, it was kind of a more straightforward worker placement type game. And in a way, it lost a little bit of its teeth. Now, mind you, Dominant Species Marine still has some teeth to it, but it definitely did not present itself and play as a more brutal game that Dominant Species could. And I thought it was really, really fun. Now, here is a game that I definitely had people that, like, after I explained the game of Dominant Species to, they were like, oh, that doesn't sound like my game. And then I would present Dominant Species Marine, and then I could get that to the table, and they'd play. And I could then scratch the itch that I like with Dominant Species and get that to the table with other people that normally wouldn't play a game of that type. And I thought that was kind of a brilliant design. And I can't help but think that that was the deliberate decision from Chad when he decided to make that version of the game, to get a more table-friendly version of what I think was like his magnum opus with Dominant Species. But there you go. Yeah, Chad Jensen. I never met him. I have been lucky. There are a handful, 4 or 5 designers that I really love the stuff that they came out with. Um, and I've met all of them and been able to tell them how much I appreciate their output and I appreciate the joy that they gave me. But sadly, I never crossed paths with Chad, and now I can't. So, but yeah, check out his stuff. It's really good, and I hope you like this little trip down the memory lane that I just gave with my thoughts and feelings about one of my all-time favorite designers. What are your favorite designers? Let me know below. And like I said before, if you have any suggestions about a video you'd like to see from us or me or whoever from Great Fox Games, let me know, and I'll see if we can work that in and make that happen. Until the next video, take care of yourselves. Thanks for playing, and I'll see you next time.